Thank you for tuning into Wisdom Wednesdays. Today we're talking about the massacre in Florida where the 17 children and teachers were murdered by a gunman who was very young, I believe 19 years old. And we're looking at what society, what our Congress is doing about that. Did you know that approximately 190 million to 300 million citizens in this country own guns? That number represents 42% of the ownership of guns in the entire world. The United States has more guns and more massacres. Now, this is supported by the NRA. You've heard them talk about that, and that's the National Rifle Association, which puts a lot of money. They have a foundation where they collect money from millions of their members to support guns. Now, what they do is promote the education and the training and the safety of guns. But they also, if you look at their commercials, instill fear and indicate folks should have guns to defend themselves. So would our Congress and our president, where the NRA has contributed approximately $30 million to President Trump's campaign, and of course contributed money to other elected officials as well, what's the likelihood of our Congress actually enacting legislation that's going to stop the sale of assault weapons when they have such a large population that owns guns? They want us to get distracted with this mental health piece and state that that's going to solve the problem. But keep in mind that when a person is treated by a psychologist or psychiatrist or a mental institution, that institution has an ethical obligation to protect the confidentiality of that patient. So is the Congress going to now require doctors and hospitals to list folk who have mental problems? And if they do that, will that deter people from wanting to come to get treatment because they don't want their name to appear on a database? Certainly something has to be done. But what they're talking about, if the person has been convicted of domestic violence, that way that person could be denied gun access. Now that's a real possibility because anytime you're convicted, that is public information. Not necessarily if you're a juvenile, but as an adult, that's public information that can be accessed. So how do we solve this problem? Is it realistic to believe that if we have our teachers to pack guns, that our children will be safe and the teacher will be safe? Is it realistic to think that a universal background check will solve this problem? I don't know. What do you think? What is the solution? You know, would it really solve the problem? And according to Australia, they bought back folks' guns, and they, in fact, got rid of all of the assault guns, and they have not had any mass murders in years. Is that the real solution? And what do we do to get our Congress to enact that legislation? Or do we have to go state by state, as they're saying to do, or wait for companies like Dick's Sporting Goods that decided today they're no longer going to sell those guns? How is this problem addressed? Come to my Facebook page, share with me your thoughts. Let's discuss this. Let's get some dialogue going. But most of all, let's call our congressman, congressperson, congresswoman, and state what our voice is. Let the young people from Florida in that school be a model for what it is that we need to do. Happy Wednesday.